Hello, hello, my friend. Good morning to you. Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Today, I want to greet you. Hello, my friend. Happy Monday. If you're tuning live today, right now in this moment, it is a Valentine's Day. Ta-da! I want to just express my gratitude and be so thankful for this platform, for this day, for this opportunity to have a heart-to-heart conversation with you today. And let's amplify love today. There's season and no season for love, but today is the love day, right? It's just the time for us to express more love. And I want to encourage you and I want to remind you to love yourself today. Maybe you're in a relationship and you got a nice, beautiful flowers in the morning or in the afternoon, and you've got some hugs and kisses and some good feelings, but maybe you're not. Wherever you are in life, whatever your stage of life is, give yourself some love today. Okay. I feel that give yourself some grace today. Give yourself some empathy today. You're doing great. You are moving in this life. You are growing in this life. You are here on purpose. You are on this earth on purpose, my friend. And if you're tuning in first time, my name is Jana Masik. I am hosting this podcast, Powering Unique You. It's all about encouraging conversations, helping you, my friend, become a better leader, equip you with some tips and strengths and wisdoms from amazing guests. And one of those is on our show today. Hey, today, it's going to be an interesting day. Let me know if you're tuning in live. Let me know your comments. And I cannot wait to bring in my amazing guest, this phenomenal lady. She is fantastic. She's fabulous. She wears many hats, and you'll see one of those on her head today. And in addition to being a devoted mom, a devoted wife, she's a military spouse, she's devoted and loving mom of 5, and she's grandma of 5, which I told her she doesn't look like one. And she operates the purpose and experience as a savvy real estate investor. She's transformational coach. She's a teacher, trainer, and international speaker with the John Maxwell Team. Wow, she's got really many wonderful, amazing hats. I don't know how she juggles it all. She's also traveled from the United Kingdom to Kenya to Germany and back to the United States. She's on mission to charge others with tasks of progressing into best versions of themselves. I love this mission. I absolutely love it. She loves to equip individuals, organizations, and ministries to unlock their full potential and live their mission in the most authentic way. Hey, without further ado, I want to bring in La'Quita Monley. La'Quita is in here. Hello, my friend.
Hello. How are you?
I am doing fabulous. So happy to have you here on the podcast on Valentine's Day, on Monday
Yay.
morning. Hey, so much good energy today.
I am so happy to be here today on this amazing Monday, on this amazing Valentine's Day. I hope that everyone that is watching is just feeling the joy of the Lord on this morning. Amen. And
Yes,
that,
the joy of the Lord. And we
this is it.
actually, Laquita, we did bow our heads and we recognized we have, as believers, we have the blessing
Mhm.
to have a joy and strength inside of us.
Yes.
And
Yes.
today, as you tuning in, my friend, whether you believe or not, whether you believe in God or not, we just want to extend our blessings to you. We just want to
Yes.
tell you, you are loved. You
Yes.
are valuable. You are uniquely important on this earth.
Yes.
And we want to send some love and joy your way. Let your heart be filled with love and joy today. This is the day, right?
This is the day. This is the day.
That is awesome. Laquita, I was intrigued. Our conversation today is about power of unlearning. But before we dive into that, which I am so impatiently waiting to pick your brain on that, before we dive into that, I would love for you to give us maybe highlights of your phenomenal life story as the military wife, as traveling countries, raising 5 children. Give us some of the maybe lessons from your own life, or some story that is I know that is very valuable and will make a change in our lives as we hear it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that opportunity. And it's honestly, it's really my life that led me to really begin to understand the power of unlearning. So, just I'll give you quick little snapshots. As you said, I am a proud military spouse. I met my husband in high school, so we're high school sweethearts. Um, and while in high school, we actually became teenage parents. And so life happened really quickly, lots of unexpected twists and turns. But from teenage parents, then my husband decided, okay, because he was older, so he was actually fresh out of high school, 1 year out in university, and so he decided, okay, hey, got a family. I'm gonna put a pin in university for the moment. I'm going to join the army, um, and then you would have graduated, finished up high school. Those of you guys are in Europe, let's say I'd be finishing my A levels, right? I would have been finishing my A levels at that time. So then we leave, we pack up, and we go off to our first duty station, and life really happened. So, from one kid as a teenage parent to quickly multiplying through each duty station, coming to the place by the time I'm 25 years old, I have 5 kids and a husband, and we're trying to purchase our first property, and life just was not easy at all. It wasn't easy at all, and really due to a lot of the choices that we were making. Um, and that's when we decided, okay, what would life look like after the army? What can life look like now that he's in the army, but what can we do to earn more money? And the idea to become real estate investors came to us. And so we started our journey at that time to become real estate investors, and to be 100% transparent. That didn't make life better. Our first real estate transaction happened while my husband was downrange in Baghdad. He was at the initial invasion of Baghdad there in '04, and I was supposed to be learning how to be a real estate investor, and I absolutely failed at that one job that I had. I absolutely failed that one time, that first time out, right? Acquired the property, didn't quite do all of the steps the way that they should have been done. I have to own that. And when my husband came home, instead of celebrating this amazing new home that we had no home and we had no money. And I was sitting there like, wow, what do I do? And at this time, I'm really trying to grow in my relationship with the Lord at that point. And, his blessings never end. And
Amen.
he stepped in and provided us a solution to that problem, so that we wouldn't be homeless long term. And at that, bringing more people into our life, great people into our life to help us spiritually, help us in our marriage, help us as parents. I mean, he just brought all of these wonderful people into our lives to give us what we needed at the right time: the wisdom, the encouragement, the mentorship, the discipleship. Um, Fast forward past that a little bit, because I'm giving it to you in blocks, right? Fast forward past that a little bit to 2008. I lost our home in 2000, and I bought it in '04, lost it in '05. By 2008, we were able to have recovered in a lot of areas, and we purchased our first multifamily property. And at that same time, the Lord was introducing us and preparing us to walk in ministry. So a lot of things took place there in 2008 for us, as he was coincidentally going back to Iraq for the third time by 2008. And just, the lessons that we learned along the way: resiliency, having an ear to hear. You know, you have to understand that you can't do anything alone, even as a team. He and I had to become a team, but our team still needed influence and impact from other individuals who had already walked the walk that we were walking
Yes.
and had tools and tips to give us. And if we implemented them properly, we could avoid some of the pitfalls of life. You can't avoid everything,
Yes.
but if I give you fall off in that hole and I throw you a rope, at least take the rope and climb out,
Yep.
right? And so, that brings us to in 2010, and we went to live in Europe for about 7.5 years, and many more doors and opportunities opened there for me as a minister and as a speaker. Um, Met some amazing people there throughout Europe in several countries. We had the opportunity to travel and minister throughout several countries. And in 2017, my husband retired, which is what brought us back to America. And coming back to America, those doors were still open. Those speaking opportunities, ministry opportunities, business opportunities were still open. And so we have just really, at this point, as grandparents, have been loving our lives as grandparents, but also using what we've learned in our 30 plus years of relationship, because we met in 1992 and
Yes.
it's now 2022, right? And our
Mm-hmm.
anniversary is
Mm-hmm.
actually this month on the 25th. We're
Oh,
celebrating 25 years of
congratulations.
marriage. Thank you. Thank you. So
Wow.
Valentine's Day is great, but I hold out for the big day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. What a story. What a story, Laquita. I love that you mentioned that there is struggle, right? There was struggle, there was pain, there was difficulties in the circumstances, and yet God faithfully brought you the resources and just
Yes.
carried you through that and even
Yes.
strengthened your faith.
Yes.
And then you were able to meet the people that were supportive of you, that guided you, that helped you to grow yourself and develop yourself to into the person that you are right now. And through this journey, it feels like, there were ups and downs, but through this journey, I really love that you and your husband were, able to work through, to stay together, to, in
Yes.
spite of the challenges and the wind blowing, severe winds blowing into your face, to stay together and really celebrate this 30th anniversary. This is admirable. I absolutely love your story,
Thank
Laquita.
you.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. And you mentioned something that through those experiences, through those challenges, and a lot of times when we are in the midst of those difficulties, when we're in the midst of that pain, whether it's internal, external, financial,
Mhm.
sometimes there are several pains and difficult circumstances that,
Oh, yeah.
accompany the situation we're in. And if our listeners are like that, what is that one tip? What is that one advice that you give to people that are in the middle, maybe without job and trying to find a job, maybe
Mhm.
financially struggling, maybe mentally? Right now, I think the whole world is mentally handicapped in a
Mhm.
way, right? With fear and
Yeah.
worries and so many anxieties around us. What is this one advice that you would give to our listeners?
The one piece of advice that I would give to your listeners is the one thing that always carried us through, um, because of our faith, it gave us a different perspective, right? Your perspective is your reality. How we choose to view things and what we choose to mentally focus on will
Mm-hmm.
dictate everything that you do. So, no doubt about it, the challenges are real, they're happening. It's not pretend. You can't blink your eyes 3 times and it goes away. Got it. We can't change that. But the piece that we do have full control over is our thought pattern. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's really important to get your thought pattern in alignment with what you desire.
Yes.
When we get our thought patterns in alignment with what we desire, not only will that cause us to be able to manifest it in the natural, but what it does, it brings a calming sense to your spirit. And it gives you the ability to begin to think freely and think creatively, and not just focusing even on the resolution to your problem. But that's where, in the midst of those problems, the opportunities, you're able to clearly see the opportunities that are happening in the midst of the problem. And so now I'm focusing on capitalizing on this opportunity. I'm focusing on the way forward instead of what's happening that would surely lead me into a constant state of depression. And,
Mm-hmm.
it's really easy to say, like it rolls off
Yes.
the tongue well.
Yes. Oh
Yes.
yeah. Oh yeah. I agree. It's very and I can relate to that so much. I also had a lot of ups and downs in my life, and especially in my relationship, in my marriage. I could relate to that. That it is not easy when you're in the moment and you
Mhm.
are stressed out and you are overpowered by anxieties and fears and frustration and worries or anger, whatever it might be. In that moment, it is okay to feel those feelings. It is
Mhm.
okay if you're struggling. It is okay to
Yes.
admit that you're hurting.
Right.
And don't, like you said, like, when you don't try to blink and be in denial that it is not happening. All of
Right.
those things are happening.
Those things are
However,
happening. Yeah.
it is your choice
Mhm.
to whether remain and continue looking at that. And as you look at it, as you said, LaQuita, beautifully, as you focus on that, it will grow, it will manifest more and more and more, and you will
Mhm.
spiral yourself into deeper depression.
Yes.
Or to pivot and say, I understand I'm under circumstances. However, I choose, and this is the power of choice, I
Mm.
choose to turn and to start visualizing and
Mhm.
feeling in the moment how it would be where I would want to be,
Yeah.
how I would feel to be a person I want to be.
Yes.
And having generating those emotions. Love. Today's all about love. Love for yourself. Give
Mhm.
yourself grace. I feel we are
Mm.
just so self-critical. We are so self-destructive.
Yes.
And give yourself an acknowledgement.
Mhm.
You are doing the work. So that
Yeah.
pivot, that shift and perspective, as you said, LaQuinta, is so powerful. And I love that you mentioned that you could do that. And you're the testimony to that. And I can share my story as well. It's somewhat of a similar, from the rug, so to speak, to climbing out, but
Mm.
it's all mentally. We
It's
mentally
mental.
we're creating what we're choosing. We're creating our reality and how we look at things.
Mhm.
And it's a perspective. LaQuinta, I would love for you to give us more insights on what is this unlearning? What is it all about?
So, the power of unlearning is really all about acknowledging and letting go of things that no longer serve you.
Mm,
Acknowledging what those things are, and then letting go of the things that no longer serve us.
wow.
Many years ago, I was going through a really, really hard time. It was about 2008, as a matter of fact. It was 2008, 2009. I was really having that was from August 2008 until January 2010 was probably can rank in the top 10 worst moments, time periods of my life, right? And I was listening to a message, and my pastor was preaching at that time, and the message was all about emotions and how emotions are indicators, and not to make life decisions based off of the emotions. And in one of the scenarios that he used, because we lived in a military town, most of the people there were military, so it's really easy to use those examples. And he said, for example, in early history around the world, to fortify cities in the Western world, we call them forts. In America, Europe, you might have called them castles, city gates, or whatever it was. We built these huge walls around the things that we wanted to protect. Why? To keep the enemy out. However, if the enemy you were fighting was a strategician, all they had to do is cut off the necessary supply lines, and everybody and everything inside of those walls would eventually surrender or die.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that you put in place to protect you, that worked for a time and a season, could one day be the very thing that you need to tear down or make a hole in a way of escape, because that very thing could be the thing that's killing you.
Wow.
You know, we, depending on what you believe, you could call it a stronghold, a house of thoughts, whatever it is, whether it's systems, people, ways of thinking, ways of doing, whatever it is that served you at one particular point in your life, and it is no longer serving you, but you're attached to it. We have to recognize what those things are and then begin to take the necessary steps to tear that down, to
Wow.
unlearn it, to put it away because it's not serving me. It served me at a time, but now it's no longer serving me in the place that I want to go. And that,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's relationships, and most of the times it's ways of thinking and ways that we respond and things that we're
Yes.
doing.
Yes.
Recognize the things in your life that no longer serve you in a good way and where it's consistently serving. I'm not talking about one-off opportunities here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking where it is consistently serving you well, and it is consistently bringing in positive multiplication into your life. If it's not doing that, then it's no longer serving you. And so now we need to learn what to do and how to move away from those things, to unlearn them. They
Wow.
were
I
good
love
for a
it.
time, but where you are now, is it serving you? Where you want to go, will it serve you well there?
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. This is really timely word. I feel like Quita. I believe that there, the way we meet people, the way we interact with people, and even as you're tuning in right now and listening to this, I want to invite you to do an audit. As you were speaking this, the power of unlearning is awareness. How I take it is awareness, gaining a deeper awareness of how you run your life, how you structured your life, and it's all come from your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I like that you put in the castle example, the walls, and a lot of times our thoughts are just blocking us
Mm-hmm.
from seeing the gifts and opportunities that are right in front of us,
Mm-hmm.
because we are so set on the old patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And it is profound to recognize that, and to be able to say, it served me maybe yesterday or a year
Mm-hmm.
ago or 3 years ago, but at this point it is no longer serving me. I feel, as I am reflecting on my own experience, it's not easy sometimes to let go,
No, no.
especially if it is something that you've invested or built.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, I could relate to that in people's career or occupation. I
Mm-hmm.
had, I had a gentleman that reached out to me that's been in the industry for 30 years and is good. I mean, the job is good. It's all great. Yet he doesn't feel like he's really doing something that is fulfilling. He's not
Mm.
feeling that he is making a difference. It's the
Mm.
same old every day. The pay is good, the lifestyle is good. I mean, everything seemed to be great, but internally there is
Mm-hmm.
that void, there is that
Mm-hmm.
call for more.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of, I even say, decision.
Yeah.
And to say, that stage of my life was great,
Mm-hmm.
yet it's not serving me anymore because it doesn't give me the fulfillment inside, and step out into the new. But what I find challenging is to start afresh,
Yeah.
to start small,
Mm-hmm.
to start unexperienced in a way. And that is not easy. So what are
Yeah.
your advice for, particularly if we relate this to a career, occupation, or job situation where people feel, hey, I've been in this industry, hey, I've been in this role, I'm pretty good, I'm settled, I'm getting paid well. I do not know, why should I, how do I start fresh? How what advice would you give?
So that's a really good question, and that really goes back to something that I'm really passionate about, and that is knowing who you are.
Mm,
understanding your purpose. Once I understand my purpose, when I know who I am and whose I am, that gives me a clean slate of opportunities to begin to journal, to begin to write out, put down my thoughts. Because if I'm at that place, and a lot of my clients are at that place in their life,
Mm-hmm.
we're mature women. We've done a lot of living and a lot of things, and now you're at this place where I like to say, okay, what do I want to do when I grow up? I've done this, and now what do I want to do when I grow up? What do I want to do in this next phase of my life? And starting over can be very scary, and acknowledge that it's a truth. It is a truth that starting over can be scary, but we can take that fear and that energy, um, and just like you did when you were fresh out of uni or fresh out of high school, that same energy that you use to go in the direction that you wanted to go at that point, it's the same energy we're going to use right now. The difference is, in this space, we have to bring along that wisdom that we learned along the way. So now that I know, as a wife, as a mom, as a minister of the gospel, those were things that I knew coming into a space, what my next space in my life, where I was growing as a real estate investor, growing as a speaker and a John Maxwell certified speaker and coach. Sit down in my quiet time and begin to journal that out, see what that looks like. And there's no hurry, there's no rush. We're in competition with no one, not even ourselves, our past successes. We're not in competition with that. This new path is a path that we're going to craft, and we're going to take our time and map that out. And then one step at a time, we're going to do the necessary things to begin to accomplish each goal and celebrate each victory. When you're writing it out, celebrate the fact that I did that. When you're saying, okay, LaQuita, I've got 5 points I need to make. And in between those five, getting those 5 things done that'll get me to where I want to be. Have you crafted out how you're going to accomplish those 5 things? Celebrate the fact that you know it's 5 things. Now celebrate the fact that I'm going to go back and put together the roadmap to make all of those 5 things come together. We're going to celebrate that. And then, LaQuita, I did step 1 today. Praise God. You did step 1. And let's just take it, eating that apple, eating that elephant, one step at a time. But it will not start if we don't know who we are. Knowing who
Mm-hmm.
we are gives us a greater understanding of purpose. When I understand what my purpose is, that next thing that I'm doing is directly connected to that purpose. It's the thing that I'm passionate about. It's the thing that I'm driven about. When you hear entrepreneurs say, my why is what gets me up in the morning, my why is what's pushing me, that's their purpose. That's their mission in life. And that's just not for entrepreneurs. That's for career professionals. That's for the
Yes.
stay-at-home parent, right? Everything that we do in life is based on our purpose and our why. And it's what we live to do. But that's a hard place to figure out if I don't know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree with you. And I love that you brought us to this point, Laquita, because I believe that we, from coming out of from high school, and I have kids in the middle school and high school right now, where I'm talking to them about what do they want, what do you want to bring in the world, who do you want to become, what do you want to enjoy, and they really struggle with that.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, I don't know, mom. I
Mm-hmm.
don't really know what I want to do, what I want to be. And interestingly enough, that I'm reflecting that so many people, and I'm reflecting on my own journey, we kind of fall sometimes, or most of the times, by accident, one or the other path.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get conditioned to say, well, this is just the path. And
Mm-hmm.
then when we get years and years of experience in that field, we're like, well, it's just, what is more out to there,
Right.
right? And I love that you bring us to the point to say it's never late and
Yeah.
it's never early
Mm-hmm.
to come, to give yourself permission, give
Mm-hmm.
yourself time, and to say, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
Let me unpeel all of these expectations of my parents, society, my boss, this and that, my friends, my family, and really give yourself time and permission to to get curious,
Mm-hmm.
to say, who is this person? Who is this person within me? Who is this person that wants to thrive, that wants to create, that wants to be joyful, be empowered? And each one of us have this person, each one of us. Sometimes this person is just too piled on the layers of obligations and expectations that
Mm-hmm.
we've lost the very essence of who
Of
we
who we
truly
are.
are, who we
Yeah.
are, who we are as creation, who we are as our soul. And I love that you brought us to this work. It's necessary work. And maybe couple practical steps to do this work. You mentioned something about journaling, and I
Mm-hmm.
believe that is very important. Is there any other tools or steps that can be helpful on this discovery, self-discovery
Um,
path?
the first and foremost thing on this in this path of self-discovery is self-care.
Mm,
Making self-care non-negotiable.
I love it.
And what does self-care look like for you?
Yes.
Self-care for LaQuita might not look like self-care for Amy or Tiffany or Miranda. Self-care for each one of us is different. So
Yes.
understand what self-care means to you and practice that self-care unapologetically. You're not selfish. Self-care is not selfish, it's necessary. It is absolutely necessary. And why do I say that? Because when we're spending time with ourselves, getting to know ourselves, again, knowing what we like, what we want to do, the things that recharge us and refresh us, then when I say the next thing is spending that time with yourself and quiet time and meditation, it won't be hard. Because if
Mm,
I'm practicing self-care, somewhere in that I'm doing it already.
yes.
I may not be doing it on a daily basis, but whatever my self-care routine looks like, I've set that up. My self-care, my daily quiet time with myself in meditation. And for me as a believer, what that looks like for me is early morning, the way my lifestyle works. Again, my routine might not be able to be your routine. For me, it's early morning. And I get up and I spend that time in prayer, and I spend that time reading my word. That's not my quiet time. That's a time that I've dedicated to the Lord. Now, my
Mm-hmm.
quiet time is something different. That quiet time of meditation um, is where I really listen. I'm listening, and it's easy to listen because in that state of meditation, my all of this distraction and busy from the day, I've quieted that in my mind, and I can actually hear, right? That's where it makes journaling easy. I'm not just journaling, and not that journaling your emotions is a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. But in this particular type of journaling is where clarity is coming,
Mm-hmm.
where the questions that we need to ask start to happen. A lot of times, it's like, well, LaQuita, you say ask the question. I'm asking the question, but are you asking the right question?
Mm-hmm.
In those quiet time, when everything is settled in my spirit, you can get to that place. And that's the type of journaling that's going to cause productivity. That's where you're getting your visions. That's where you're getting the ability to see the opportunity in the midst of the struggle. And now this is what I need to do to capitalize on that opportunity. That's going to be some really productive journaling where you're saying, okay, I don't know what I want. And this is what I've been thinking on. This is what I've been praying about. And in that quiet time, when everything is settled, that's where you get the downloads and you become really clear on who I am, what's my purpose, and how do I achieve it. And that doesn't happen overnight. That's not a one-off situation. I cannot give you a time frame. In 90 days, if you follow these steps, this will happen. I can't. I mean, I can tell you that, but that's a lie. If it happens for you in 90 days, praise God, but it might take longer or it
Yes.
might happen sooner.
Yes. Yes. I love this. It's simple steps. It's really, I love that you started with self-care. It's really important to recognize that you can't pour out of an empty cup.
No.
You
No.
can't expect, a great performance from your iPhone or Android phone that is on 1% battery, and
Exactly.
you have a 2 hour call expected. You just can't. In the
You just
same
can't. Yep.
way,
Yeah.
your self-care is really your routine. I love that you said it looks different for each one of us, but you gotta have to be unapologetic and say, I do
Hmm.
have a routine, and
Hmm.
implement that routine and stick to it as the most important
Yeah.
appointments for yourself with yourself.
With yourself. Yeah.
And then whatever it may look like for you, maybe, if you do have a faith, you would dedicate time to
Yeah.
spending time in the word. If not, then maybe you would just journal and dedicate a quiet time to
Yeah.
meditation, and
And
giving
self
yourself
reflection. Yeah.
centers,
Yeah.
being centered, being rooted. To me, it really in the middle, I love that in the middle of the day you gotta have to find minutes, the stops in
Hmm.
the middle of the day, because usually what happens is in the morning we get set up all good, and then the whole day chaos comes. It's like
Yes.
shoo, and you're wiped out at the end of the day.
Yes.
And I love to see that it's necessary to have those pit stops, to have those care times in the middle of
Hmm.
the day,
Hmm.
maybe before lunch or after lunch or
Hmm.
somewhere. Find those moments. It doesn't have to be an hour, 5 minutes or three
Yeah.
minutes to
Yeah.
recenter yourself, to write your thoughts, to see where you are, to acknowledge your feelings, to see where your emotions are. Repivot those thought patterns. Recognize, oh, I am focusing on a negative. Let me repivot and find opportunity and think positively,
Hmm.
encouraging yourself to move forward, to hope, to to have to have belief, to have
Yeah.
faith that things will
Yeah.
work out.
Yeah.
Everything will work out well, and you will be all right. And I love, Laquita, that you mentioned that simple steps are, available to each one of us to implement
Hmm.
in life. And that power of unlearning, I love that you said to recognize it's self awareness, to see what is no longer serving you,
Yeah.
and be brave and courageous to say no to those things.
Hmm.
And I feel that it is a power of saying no to things,
Hmm.
right? I feel, I don't know if it's just me, but as moms or as women, I don't know, maybe men too, but we tend to like to please everyone and everything, and we
Yeah.
spend out ourselves. And
Yeah.
saying no is a great,
It's
great,
it's a great thing. It's
great
liberating.
thing to do. Yes, yes.
Yes,
And
it
being
is.
unapologetic about it.
Mhm.
And no is a complete sentence. You
It
don't
is.
have to render a lot of explanation.
Mm.
For me, in this season, I want to share a little bit, Laquita. I am learning about my saboteurs, this internal villains, so to speak. And one of those is restless. Is
Mm.
that I'm constantly in searching of new activities. I'm constantly in searching of this dopamine hit. I'm constantly, well, what about this new thing? What about that new thing? Oh, let me look at this new thing. And what happens, I love the story that I've learned is, you want to dig well and enjoy the fresh water.
Yes,
And
yeah.
in order to do that, you have to be focused and dedicated to dig this well. And this
Yes.
restless saboteur that is tricking me is telling me, well, no, 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 let's go dig here. And I'll dig a little bit. Now, oh, no, no, let's dig here. I'll dig a little bit. And I have 50 wells digged out halfway, and I'm exhausted and there's
And
no
exhausted.
water.
Mm.
And interestingly, as I was talking about it, and I was considering that and sharing this with my friend, there is addition to this story came, and God tapped me on the shoulder and he said, well, in the first place, I am the fountain of living water.
Come on
I'm
now.
right here in you, that
Yeah.
is gushing up spring water, fresh water to satisfy your thirst and all of your
Yes.
desires. And
Yes.
you're going out there trying to dig out and exhaust yourself. So that was a great reminder to me, where I just have to say, aha, oh, that is a good reminder to
Yes.
know. and
Yes.
and to recognize these inclinations of searching for things, or trying to do this and this and so many things, and having a hard time to focus and bring the task to completion.
Mhm.
That awareness, I feel, is really important. So see, what is these things that
Yeah.
sabotage you, those inner villains. Maybe you have some villains that sabotage you, where you want to control everything and everyone and all the circumstances and not letting go. So there's a lot of things that I feel we can tap into, this power of unlearning
It is.
and power of recognizing things don't serve us anymore and saying no.
Yeah. One of the tools that I use to help my clients as a disc assessment, I am a certified Maxwell Method of Disc trainer. And with this DISC assessment, it's a personality assessment, right? And in here, within that, it gives the individual a really clear understanding of, why do I do some of the things that I do? Oh, this is
Mm-hmm.
it. Okay. And even in some of our, we'll call them weaknesses, if you will, things that you've heard people say more than once. They say, oh, you might want to listen to that. You might want to tweak that. You might want to stop doing that. It even gives us a list of those weaknesses and kind of why we do that. And it gives us, it shows us the opportunities for growth and improvement. And what my clients do, we do that a couple of times. We do that when we initially meet, and we use it as a roadmap to block out, okay, this is what client wants to achieve, the overall achievement. Let's look at this. The client has their copy and I have my copy. And the client gets to see and use that as a starting point to map out how they want to reach a certain level of success, um, personally and professionally. Because I really believe that when we take that hard look at ourselves and we're wanting to improve ourselves, that is naturally going to overflow in a very positive way into our professional development.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and using that DISC assessment as a model to go by, using it as a starting point, if you will, we're
Yeah.
able to get a loads of success based off of that. Because if that individual has a significant other or coworkers, there are different activities that we put together, some takeaways and some take home work that they get to do, and then come back to the coaching session, and we can have conversation about that. And how can we use that input from those that know, love, and trust us, um, to help us to become the best versions of ourselves, whatever goal that is that the client is particularly trying to reach. And it works well in organizations as well. you
Yes.
know
That
it
is
helps
phenomenal.
from the frontline team member to the senior staff. It helps. It can be used as a tool, to help to begin to create conversation and healthy dialogue, and to use it to begin to craft the culture that you want in your organization, to create the greatest level of productivity from the individuals that make the organization up.
Yes, I love that you shared that. I do believe that the assessments give you a way and a structure to look at things internally and get some
Mhm.
perspective about
Absolutely.
yourself and your
Absolutely.
team and your family, and just gain a little bit of a different awareness
Hmm.
level and reflection points to ignite the conversations, because sometimes you're struggling with something or you see other person struggling with it, and those type of tools can give you the points to start the conversations and
Hmm.
express empathy, express curiosity, express innovation, and how you can use those tools to better yourself, better your team, better your relationships overall. I love this, LaQuita. This is a phenomenal conversation. Thank you so much for coming in today. Any last point or word of wisdom as we close it today, to our listeners, please, from you?
Understanding who you are and whose you are is your greatest starting point. And that's a starting point. It can happen at any phase in our life. Embrace it, run with it, and above all things, pursue your purpose with a passion.
I
Excuse me.
love this. I love this so much. Well, thank you so much for coming in today, and have a phenomenal rest of the week.
Thank you.
Wow, this was impactful, practical, and in a way, a little bit of revelational to me. I hope this has added value to you. I hope it has given you a point of a different perspective, a different way of looking at yourself and your life and your mission, your purpose on this earth, your work, and most importantly, your relationships with yourself and with those around you. My friend, today I want to encourage you, let's amplify love. I want to encourage you, love yourself, set up those self-care routines for yourself, non-negotiable, non-unapologetic, and express love and tolerance and empathy toward those you love and toward those that have different views. I feel today in this world, people just hate on each other so much unnecessary. I, I could respect someone who has different views. I feel we all, if we collaboratively, you know, resist of that narrative of fear and hate, and embrace ourselves as a part of humanity, and realize that people are going to have different views, people are going to have different beliefs, and they have rights to do so, and we can accept them and respect them for that, and encourage them and support them, and even give them some love. I feel this earth will be a better place for that. So let's do this collectively. And my friend, keep powering unique you. Until next time, I see you soon.